Welcome back, Blood Bowl fans, and this is Game 5 of the CoBBL Sevens Championship. This is our Sevens format Resurrection-style championship tournament for the Cozy Serpent Gaming channel. We've already seen 4 games in the event, and we have seen 4 teams eliminated. Today is a game between 2 of the winners. In the first game of the semifinals, we have the Chaos Chosen team, Sigmar's Chosen, and the Wood Elf team, the Bananaburg Chimpions. Let's take a look at their rosters and see what skills they've gotten this round of the event. First up, we have the Bananaburg Chimpions. This is a Wood Elf team. This team has rostered a War Dancer, a Catcher, a Thrower, and 4 linemen. The random skill this team was given for their linemen was Diving Catch on a Wood Elf lineman. Not the greatest skill, but does have some potential uses. However, the selected skill for this game will be Dodge on number 12. A much more useful skill, perhaps not the most exciting skill, but it is very, very good on any elf player that you could imagine. And on the other side of the pitch, we have Chosen of Sigmar. This is a Chaos Chosen team with 4 Chosen blockers and 3 linemen. The first of these has gotten the random skill Foul Appearance, which is useful occasionally. However, the second lineman was given Block, which is going to be much more useful, much like Dodge on the other side of the aisle. Again, not the most exciting or different skill, but when you have no skills and a lot of strength 4, Block goes a very, very long way. Next up, we've got our pre-game roles. First will be fans. Neither team has any rostered fans, so they will just be rolling for it. First, the Chosen of Sigmar will roll a d3. Getting max on the roll, and the Chimpions will roll a d3 as well. Also getting max. So any event rolling dedicated fans will simply be a roll-off between these 2 teams. The only bonus for Sigmar's Chosen will be a coach, which will help them on the brilliant coaching kickoff results. Next, we have weather. Each team will roll a dice. First, the Chimpions will roll, getting a 2, and the Chosen will roll, getting a 4, perfect Blood Bowl weather. Next, each team will roll a d6 for kickoff to see who will kick and who will receive. The Chosen will roll first this time, getting a 5, and the Chimpions will roll, getting a 6, and the Chimpions get their choice. How do Wood Elves wish to play this? The Chimpions have opted to kick away for the first half, thinking that they will be able to slow down the advance and then maybe get that 1-0 win by scoring quickly in the second half. Let's see if that works out for them. And here we have set up for the first drive of the game. Wood Elves opting for a more standard defense. The event has switched to the other side of the sevens pitch for the semifinals. Wood Elf team kicking to the relative safe spot and rolling the kick. 3 to direction 6. And kickoff event. That is quick snap, so D3+1 players on the receiving team may move 1 square. That will only be 2 players, and 2 Chosen. We'll simply use this to get a little bit more mobility since they only move 5. Then the ball bounces 1 more time. To direction 7. Turn 1 for the Chosen is looking to be very straightforward. They're simply going to move to support where the ball is going to be. Next, the Foul Appearance Griphound is going to look to pick up the ball, hoping that Foul Appearance will protect them just a little bit. Moving over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Picking it up on the 4th square of movement. And unfortunately failing on a 2. The ball will bobble out to direction 5. The Chimpions got a little bit of luck in that the Chosen do not have the ball. However, they don't quite have the strength to break through a bunch of strength 4, armor 10 players at the moment. So they're going to choose their actions quite carefully and see how they approach this first turn. Now Goku the War Dancer is going to go for a blitz on this Chosen blocker. With 2 support, it'll be 2 dice, and he has the block advantage. Hitting on the 6th square of movement for 2 dice. The block advantage matters. And that Chosen goes down. Trying to break armor 10. Not doing so on a 3. And with 2 more squares of movement, simply moving back to here. And setting up a bit of a net. Chosen of Sigmar turn 2, simply standing up this blocker. And then looking to go for a blitz with the block Gryph-hound onto this lineman. Blitzing on the 3rd square of movement for 2 dice with horns, having the block advantage this time. A stumbles is great as the regular linemen do not have dodge. And following up, attempting to break armor 8. Not doing so on a 4. Does have some squares of movement left, but that seems to be a pretty good spot to end next to the downed player. Now, since the defense is relatively okay in place, Sleek is going to once again attempt to pick up the ball on 3+. Doing so successfully this time. Just going to move into here and bring some friends in to make the cage a little bit stronger. Alright, with the first cage of the game formally set up here on turn 2 for the Chimpions, they're going to look to see what they can do to slow it down. While War Dancers do have leap, and there's a capability to get in and hit the ball carrier, it's not a great chance just yet. So they're going to look to slow down the movement and see if they can maybe just get a couple lucky hits in the process. Now Goku is once again going to blitz, this time on the block Gryph-hound, as it is the closest, hitting on the 2nd square of movement for 2 dice. No longer having the block advantage, but needing less support to get 2 dice. A double push will simply push this Gryph-hound back into the cage. Now this Wood Elf will attempt to dodge out on a 2+. Then this one will stand up and dodge out, also on a 2+. Successfully doing so. Chosen of Sigmar turn 3. Now obviously the net has left one side weaker than the others, but that is a player with dodge, and that is the sideline. The Chosen do not have the movement to realistically match how fast the Wood Elves can move, so a side cage is a bit risky, but it is the most direct approach to the end zone. If they want to score quickly, and this is the bottom of the first quarter, they might just have to take the bait and go for it. But first they will make these Wood Elves roll some dice. So stepping forward with a couple of these Chosen. While Wood Elves don't often fail dodges, sometimes they will roll ones, and there are no rerolls available. Now Ringo, the block Gryph-hound, is going to go for a blitz on the dodge line chimp. Hitting for the 5th square of movement, getting 2 dice, thanks to horns. A POW and a both down are both very acceptable outcomes. Line Elves are armor 8. A 10 will smash it. And a 9 will be a knockout. Losing a player and dodge this early is a bit tricky. Now the Chosen have taken the bait a little bit to go for the side cage, which is a bit easier to slow down as there is less ground to cover, but with a player out and a bunch of players tagged up, it will be up to the Wood Elves to make some moves to make sure that they don't get completely blasted out before this touchdown occurs, and hopefully stop that touchdown altogether. Playing to a pretty standard column defense, this War Dancer is going to attempt to dodge out with the dodge skill. Didn't need it. Now the thrower. Getting it on a 6. And finally, the last line elf here, dodging out from where it was sandwiched a bit. Passes on a 3. No blocks this turn, just hoping to slow down the Chosen advance a little bit more. Now, Sleek the ball carrier is only 2 rushes away, technically, from a touchdown. However, there is no easy path through this column defense. Anything will require some dodge through tackle zone, or simply moving forward and trying to bust their way through. So to try to clear a path, Ringo, the block Gryph-hound, is going to attempt to blitz this lineman right here, blitzing on the second square of movement with the block advantage. 2 dice thanks to horns, and both a pow and a stumbles will be great here. Trying to break armor 8 again. Ooh, doing so on the boxcars, and trying to get a removal. Only getting a stun, but that'll be enough for 1 more turn. Moving into Chimpions turn 4, the ball carrier is so close they could almost taste it, but there is no quick and easy way to get in there. There is, however, a solid 2-die hit that they can try to start with. And so first they will try to dodge out a couple things just to make things easier on themselves. First, dodging out this catcher. Dodging on a 2 with the dodge skill. Succeeding on a 3 and simply standing there to take up a lane. Then bringing out the catcher, also dodging out on a 2. Ooh, and with no rerolls, that is a downed catcher, and a bunch of players still tagged. Trying to break thrower armor, as that is the thrower, not the catcher. Does not do it on a 4. Chosen turn 5, and they are looking at a touchdown unless things go horribly for them. Ringo is just going to go for a blitz on the War Dancer to try to clear the path. So getting the strength 4 from horns because he's using the blitz. That's a POW, which is the only thing that puts a War Dancer on the ground. Trying to break armor 8. Doing so on a 9. Could this be the end of Goku? Let's see the injury roll. An 8 is just a KO, which is huge. Now, Sigmar's Chosen have 2 options. They can either take the score, which is basically all but guaranteed, or they can try to take a couple more hits and see if they can get some more casualties on the way out. It is a bit of a riskier play, but they're going to take 1 block before they go for the touchdown. And tagging up some players just to be safe. Now blocking 2 dice onto this line chimp. No skill into no skill. A push is not a both down. And unfortunately it doesn't look like there's a surf available, but we'll simply go for the 2-die block from the Gryph-hound onto this line chimp. See if they can get 1 more casualty for the road. Ooh, that is a skull and a both down. The greed went a little bit too hard. Now they do both go down. And the Gryph-hound does have better armor. Let's see if that better armor saves it. For the line elf, a 4 will not break. And for the Gryph-hound, a 6 will also not break. The Chimpions are miraculously back in the game, and it does look like there's a world where they get a blitz on the ball carrier. However, in order to make it a 2-die, they will need another dodge, which they failed last turn. Let's see if Flippy the thrower can redeem themselves. Standing up for 3 and jumping out, dodging on a 2+. Getting it this time, and tagging the ball carrier. Now number 13, is going to stand up and blitz the ball carrier. With this support taken up and Flippy there for the support on the offense, this will be 2 die, but first, this is foul appearance, and the Chosen have kind of been banking on it to save them for quite a while now. Let's see if it does so. Looking to blitz, but needing to roll a 2+ first. Foul appearance doesn't stop this one. Standing up for 3 and blitzing on the 4th square of movement for 2 dice. Either one of those will get the ball carrier on the ground. Sleek goes down, and Ooh-Ah looking to follow up, maybe to catch the ball on the bounce out, but first trying to break armor 8. Rather, armor 9. And a 9 will break. And that is a casualty on Sleek. Foul appearance not protecting from that casualty result. And then the ball bobbles out. 7 words puts it right onto Blur, who is on the ground. 7 words again puts it right on the edge. That'd be a 3, no, just the 2 up dodge. Number 14. Number 15. Well, one line chimp saved the day. Can another line chimp go for the gold? Number 15, He-Who, standing up for 3, dodging out on the 4th square movement. First the dodge and then the pickup. Dodge is good. And the pickup is even better. 5, 6, 7, not getting terribly far. Now, if the Wood Elves want to get into the end zone with this, there will have to be 2 rushes either way, and 2 rushes will help keep the ball carrier a little bit safer. So going for those rushes now. First one to here. Looking for a 2+. And just getting it and going for another one right there. Oh, another one puts that ball carrier on the ground. Now, He-Who has gotten the ball so far away that it's going to be very hard to score. However, will he pay for it with his life? Not on a 5. And the ball will pop out. Direction 3 will put it right there. Now, the Chosen went for a bit of greed on the combat before. Now they still have one very small chance to pick up the ball and potentially get a touchdown. It will require some serious dicing though. Starting with a 2-die block onto this line chimp. Just a block, not using the horns, potentially saving it for later. A pushing them both down is fine because this player has block. Now attempting to break armor 8. Getting through that thin Wood Elf armor. Now attempting to take the diving catch player out of the game. 5 is just a stun on number 10. Now number 17, Blur, is going to go for the only way to score, which is a pass action. Standing up for 3. Rushing onto the ball. The rush is good. Picking it up on a 3+. And unfortunately, failing on a 1, the hopes of a touchdown this half are dashed. And with no realistic way to get a touchdown this turn, the Chimpions will simply stand up here and go for a blitz on Blur, looking to maybe get a bit of removal before the half. 2 dice. Push and a push will simply push away. And while there are a couple 2-die uphills over on this side of the board, there's no way to make them any better, and it is not worth the effort. That brings us to the end of the half. Now, while the Chimpions did their job, which is stopping a touchdown in the first half, they still need to actually get a score, and it's going to be very hard being down a player. So first, they're going to see if they can get back the Dodge Line Elf, looking for a 4+ for the KO. Will not come back in on a 3, and very importantly, Goku the War Dancer could come back on a 4+. This would be a massive boon to the Wood Elf team. And that is a 2. Neither player comes in out of the KO box, and the Wood Elves will have to score with just a thrower, a catcher, and 3 line elves. Here we are set up for the second half. Chosen gone for a very straightforward defense. They don't need anything fancy, but the Chimpions will need some fancy feet and some fancy plays to get the score. Now, any experienced Blood Bowl player knows that it is not uncommon for Elves to be down a player going into the second half, or sometimes more. However, usually you have a War Dancer or 2 to make up for that. Let's see how they do without one. The Chosen are going to go for a onside kick, setting the ball here to start, right in the middle. If this goes well for them, it could be devastatingly bad for the Chimpions. Here's the kickoff. A 1-to-1 is about the best you could hope for, staying right there in the middle. Now let's see what the kickoff event is. An 8 is changing weather, so they'll roll on the weather table once again. A 6 is still perfectly good Blood Bowl weather, but this does mean the ball will fly a little bit in the air before it lands. First to the 2. Then again to the 2. And finally to the 5. And then bouncing when it hits the ground. To the 3. Not as advantageous of a position for the Chosen, but still not super safe for the Wood Elves. Now the Chimpions have only exactly enough players to make a cage, and that's going to be a little bit difficult when every hit against you has a pretty good chance of getting a removal. However, they do still have a Wood Elf thrower and a Wood Elf catcher, which is one of the best duos in the game, and you can never count them out. So, looking to go put some bodies on the ball and then pick it up. Going for a bit of a looser cage to hopefully make it harder to tag everything at once. Now, Flippy will be going to pick up the ball on a 2+. Successfully grabbing it and coming back out here. Now, perhaps to the surprise of nobody, the Chosen have decided not to give any free blocks out. Why have they decided to do this? Nobody really knows. However, the Chosen have the overwhelming advantage in strength, and they're going to take advantage of that right now by moving up some players. Now, the Chosen know that the best scoring threat on the game is this catcher right here. So they're going to try to take it down and try to do so with a great strength advantage. With this lineman marked up, Ringo is going to go for the block blitz on the catcher. Hitting on the 6th square of movement for 3 dice. With Horns and a Friend against Strength 2, 3 dice. Unfortunately, 2 pushes and the stumbles will not get a dodge player on the ground, but will simply push back, follow up. Correction, Ringo has opted not to follow up because that would have left a very easy running lane for a lot of players to get to. As it stands, it's still not impossible for the whole team to get out of dodge this turn. Now, the Chimpions know that they're not really going to blitz their way out of this one. However, they also know that any ones rolled on those dodges is going to be a terrible, terrible outcome. But at this point, it is dice versus dice when you are down a player and down a massive strength advantage. So they are simply going to try to get through as best they can. Now, going to the Skycam, it looks like the Chimpions are going to not risk the dodges and go for a side cage. Now, this side cage comes with its own risks, especially setting one up on turn 2, but let's see if it pays off for them. Two line chimps going to move around, trying to take advantage of their speed and their agility, dodging out on a 2 with number 15. Getting on a 4. Now, number 13 going for the blitz on 2 Blur. First having to dodge out on a 2+. Now, this will be 2 dice, but it will be no skill into no skill. The skull was scary, but the stumbles will get this Gryph-hound onto the ground and out of the game for just a little bit longer. Trying to break armor 9. A 2 will not quite get there. And with a little bit more speed left over, stepping just to here to make a little bit more room for the ball carrier. Now this side shift from the Chimpions does mean it'll be slightly harder to set up the column defense, but not impossible. Trying to bring around some Chosen in order to narrow that lane. Casting a bit of a loose net due to how slippery these players are, but now Ringo is going to go for a blitz, hitting on the second square of movement, 2 dice, thanks to horns. Doesn't need the block advantage to get that line chimp right there and follow up. Armor 8 on a Wood Elf. Does not break on a 5. Now the Chimpions are in a bit of a tricky spot here. They can technically score this turn on a push and 2 rushes and a catch with a catch reroll, which is not a bad possible outcome. However, if they score too quickly, the Chosen will have lots of turns to get a tying touchdown of their own. Now, if you haven't been watching our series, if the game is a tie at the end of turn 6 of half 2, there will be another half, which is simply play on. So each team will get 6 more turns in an attempt to break the tie. First team to score wins. However, if the score is still tied at the end of overtime, the game will simply go to roll-offs to see who the victor is, which I'm sure nobody wants to see. So the Chimpions have to decide whether they want to risk a touchdown now and possibly have to be forced into a tiebreaker situation, or if they can stall for 1 more turn. However, a touchdown will possibly give them 2 more players back from the KO box, so much to consider. And they are going to go for the touchdown this turn, but that will require a couple things to go their way. First, a blitz from the diving catch player onto Ringo. 1, 2, 3, hitting on 4 for 2 dice, thanks to support. A push would have been fine. A POW is extra good. Trying to break armor 9. 5 won't quite do it. Now Flippy is just going to hand off 2 Wiggles, first stepping forward a bit, just in case. Handing it off on a 2+, which succeeds. Now Wiggles the catcher moves 8. First rush. Gets it. And the second rush into the end zone for the touchdown is also successful. That is a score for the Chimpions. Now, as we said, that score comes with pluses and minuses. There will be 3 whole turns for the Chosen to tie things up before the end of regular time, but there will also be a chance for KOs. So first, number 12, Ook, who has dodge, will come back on a 4+. Failing once again. And hoping to get back Goku, the War Dancer, also failing. The Chimpions will have to make a defense with only 5 models against the Chosen team, going into their turn 3. And here we are at the start of Chosen turn 3. They will have 4 turns to get a touchdown to tie the game up. Now the Chosen have a similar conundrum where if they score too quick, there's a chance the War Dancer comes back, and Wood Elves can absolutely score in 2 turns, sometimes in 1, depending how things go. So let's see what happens with the kickoff. The Wood Elves looking to be a little bit risky, going a little bit deeper, hoping to slow down the advance as much as possible. Here's the kickoff. 1 to the 5 means it's not a deep kick at all. And the kickoff. A 12 is a pitch invasion. Both teams roll a d6, adding their fan factor, which at the start of the game was tied. And the Wood Elves get it on a 4. A potential massive boon, D3 Chosen players will be stunned. Only 1. Not as good as it could have been, but still something for the Chimpions, and still a minor downside for the Chosen. starting from 1 at this end and going down to 6 at this end. A 2, Blur will simply be stunned for the first turn of the half. Now the Chosen have a couple options. They can either go for the score or go for the combat. There are currently 2 elves in the KO box that have refused to come back, and they might try to go for some more casualties that way, or they can go for the score and try to drag it out into overtime perhaps. Let's see what ends up working out for them. Now number 3 Stormsire is going to attempt to pick up the ball, needing a 3 to get it. That is unfortunately a 2, and the ball will bobble out to the 5, which is in the tackle zone of 2 Chosen blockers. Chimpions turn 4, a solid turn of luck for them. If they were ever going to stop this touchdown and equalize thing, they were hoping to rely on one of those agility rolls to fail, or for some blocks to go south. Getting it nice and early means they have a chance at the ball, which they will take. Now number 10 with diving tackle is going to blitz this Chaos Chosen blocker. Hitting on movement 7, 2 dice with the double support. Pound of both down will put Stormsire on the ground. And attempting to break armor 10. A 9 is very close, but not quite enough. And will rush into this square. A bit risky, but a very good place to be after the pickup. Succeeding on a 5. And finally, Wiggles the catcher is going to try to go for the pickup. Picking up on a 3+ since it is in 1 tackle zone. Getting on a 4. Then attempting to dodge into this square, 2+, getting on the first try. Chosen have become victims of standard elven shenanigans and suddenly are no longer in control of the ball on their own drive. Going to move around to prevent too much movement and then hopefully get the ball out of the ball carrier's hands right away. Now Blurred number 17 is going to stand up and blitz the catcher. The Gryph-hound that was stunned now getting a chance to be a hero, 2 dice. Even without horns, but looking to get through that dodge in some capacity. A skull and a push will not entirely do it, however, that does move the catcher back, and after tucking in, almost every Chosen is touching an enemy. For the Chimpions, this is turn 5. It is possible for the Chosen to score in 2 turns, but if they can nail the score here for the Wood Elf team, that will basically cinch the game. The options here are a bunch of bad dodges or 1-die blocks, or some decent to okay dodges for the catcher for the touchdown. So Wiggles, the catcher, is going to attempt to dodge into this square. In a tackle zone, this will be a 3-up. Succeeding on a 5. Now dodging into this square. Another 3+. Failing on a 2, but having the innate dodge skill. Free reroll to a 3+. Oh, a 1. Will stack it on the ground. Armor breaking on an 8+. And in fact it does. And then let's see what the injury is. 5 is just a stun. After which the ball bounces. The 4 is safely right next to Ringo. The Chosen do suddenly have an opportunity to pick up the ball and run away with it. A lot of ways they could go with this. Unfortunately, there is some potential bad dice on these blocks since there is no skills. Skulls and both downs will spell disaster even with that higher strength. Now, given that this will run into overtime, The score doesn't have to be fast as long as it's reliable. With that in mind, number 2, Bright Shield, is going to attempt to pick up the ball on the 4th square of movement, needing a 3+. And failing again on a 1. Some bad dice are going to prevent the score happening from either side. Bobbling out to the 1 just there. It is now the Chimpions' final turn of regular time. And once again, they're in a position where a couple decent 2-ups and 3-ups will win them the game. And this time it is Flippy's time to shine and attempt to go for the score. Once again, everything else is either bad dodges or bad blocks. So Flippy taking a dodge to here, looking to get a 2+. Getting it, and then stepping in and out for another 2+ dodge. And the Bane of Elves, another 1. Armor 8 once again. 7 will just not break. And at the very minimum, Wiggles does unstun. A bit of a comedy of errors here, has seen some bad dice on both sides, but it's still anyone's game going into the final regular time turn for the Chosen. This time I'm going to take a few steps to secure the ball, at least somewhat, and then taking some blocks. First, trying to get some more elves on the ground. A lovely pair of piles will put this line elf on the ground. But a 6 will not break armor. Next, blocking with this Chosen blocker. A push and a push, we'll simply push it here. And then this line Griffhound will hit the lineman here. And a pair of skulls saves Diving Tackle's life. Blur once again going on the ground. Armor is not broken though. Well, the Chimpion team has not had much success with dodges so far. Let's see if they do any better with blocks. Looking for some fortunate 1-die blocks. First, needing to rely on 1 more dodge to dodge out to here. Perfectly good on it too. And then Flippy, number 7, is going to stand up, blitz the blocker here. This will only be 1 dice. Hoping at least to get a push out of the way. How is even better. Knocking down here. Not following up though. Perhaps looking to break armor 10 on the way out. Boxcars will do it. Injury. A 6 is just stun. And Flippy with the rest of the remaining blitz move looking to be the hero. Stepping into a tackle zone to try to pick up the ball on a 3+. Grabbing it on a 6. Then dodging back out again on a 2+. Getting it on a 4. 7 square of movement. First rush to the edge of the end zone. Successfully. And stepping into the end zone, looking for a 2+ to rush. Getting on a 3, Flippy the thrower scoring the game-winning touchdown. And there you have it, folks. A win for the Chimpions in overtime. The first turn of overtime was all they needed to finally get that score, and after a couple bad turns of rolling for both teams. This means the Chosen are eliminated from the tournament, and the Chimpions will move forward into the finals to face the winner of the next game. Let's take a look at the bracket and remind ourselves of that game right now. And as you can see, the Bananaburg Chimpions will be waiting here in the championship match for the winner of the game between the Chicago Orc Dire Bears, the Orc team, and Warp Corp Amalgamated, the Underworld Denizens team. In this game, Dash beat Bash, but it was a very close game all the way to the end. Let's see what happens in the next game of the semifinals. Then when we finally have our 2 championship teams, each team will get a primary skill for one of their positionals, a massive boon going into the final game. And we'll see how that develops for both teams. But for now, that brings us to the end of this video. We thank you for joining us here at the Cozy Blood Bowl League. We hope you're enjoying the series. If you are, please feel free to leave any comments or love down below. And otherwise, we will see you in the next video. And as always, we hope your games are cozy.